There we go. Welcome everybody to another Tuesday late night edition of Your Update with host Bobby Gray, founder, fearless leader, the guy still hanging out here in Singapore. Thank you very much, of course, everyone for joining. Man, that song really is it brings tears to my eyes. Hate to admit it. The amount of sheer talent that we have in our community is unbelievable, unreal. That was made by our friend Corey, who has put together a lot of really great audio and visual components to complement the things that we're working on to help tell our story, and we're really impressed by his work. So thank you, Corey, for that. Hopefully you were able to hear it. I'll share a link in a few minutes here in case you didn't catch the whole thing. Okay, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm almost thinking that we need to switch over to kind of a day by day update strategy that's complemented then by a Tuesday night overview and recap. Because a lot of things are happening now as we expected. They're happening fast and at unpredictable times, and I hate to see you guys go an entire week without getting good information. So we'll have to find a way to restructure the updates. But thanks for being here. 330 of you so far. I got Gage. I got Gage and I got Mitchell out there. Are you guys out there? Feel free to say
Here, here.
hello. Hola. There you go.
What an incredible intro. I love
Pretty
it. Great
cool,
job.
right? Get you pumped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it as well. Thank you again to Corey for putting that together, and a lot of other great people out there. I mean, people have made all kinds of songs and anthems for us, for TEXITcoin, for Iscander. I gotta find the Iscander one because the Iscander coin was really great, and I can't even track it down now. So I'm bummed out about that, but I'll find it eventually. Okay, so do you guys have anything specific you want to jump into before I get started with my various rants? Mitchell sent me a list earlier about things that have been asked 50 to 1,000 times per day. We're going to get into all of those things here as we get started. But if there's anything else that we need to cover before we get going.
No, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. Um, and also we were talking about possibly, getting updates out to you guys a little bit quicker, maybe an email update once a week as well. Would be phenomenal that we're talking about maybe getting something like that rolling. But thanks for being on here, Bobby. We're excited.
Hey, man, my pleasure. Okay, let's begin with the legal update. That, of course, is, I'm sure, on everyone's mind. Let me share my screen here and we can get into the legal update. Um, I guess I was supposed to do the legal update second. Okay, let's do the legal update first. Legal update. Two big developments in the realm of legal update. First of all, we have a confirmation now of the hearing date. And I'll just take you through kind of the basics real quick on this, but there's our official docket number if you need to look us up. And this is the formal notice of the State Office of Administrative Hearings regarding TEXITcoin, Mine TXC, Blockchain Mint, and Robert J. Gray. It's kind of fun to see my name in. It looks like this document was written in like 1776. I don't know how they dredged up this old font, but it's old and it's new. And the hearing is now officially set for August 17, 18, 19, and 20. 4 days they block out on the calendar to go through this. I think we've got 2 days, and the petitioner has 2 days as well. So kicking off 9 a.m. on August 17th, whatever the day of the week that is, no idea. We actually opted to not do the Zoom conference, and it will be held in person. It'll be held in person, which means, yes, yours truly is scheduled to be there live and in person. I am not planning on testifying, but I will probably be called to testify by the petitioner. And so, a couple things about this. First of all, as far as the timeline is concerned, we've got the end date now with the August 17th to 20th, which is, good news. We were expecting sometime around August for this. Our attorneys first recommended that we Wednesday the 20th. Wednesday? Oh, Monday to Wednesday. Monday? No. Wednesday the third, Thursday the 20th. Monday? I don't know. Somebody sent a message in. So we were the lawyers wanted originally to have it pushed out till June. And I went, June, man, that's so far away. And they said, look, we need time to prepare. If you want to do this thing in the next 10 days, we're happy to do it and lose. If we have time to prepare and get our evidence and information together and find experts that can testify on our behalf, then we've got a good chance of winning. So you tell us what you want to do. You want to roll the dice and make this happen quick, or you want to put a good plan together and approach this with a strategy. And look, I'm torn because when I went through my bankruptcy in 2013, I followed everything that the lawyers told me to do, and their advice was all bad and all wrong. So obviously I've learned a lot from that situation, and and I'm applying that information and knowledge now. But to a certain extent, we're in a realm that we don't completely understand, and so we've got to find experts and we have to trust them. And that's a tough thing for me because I've been burnt, and I'm sure you've been burnt, and you've heard plenty of people say you can't trust the lawyers. I think we've got good ones, and I think that they're experienced in this realm. That was kind of the first mistake that I made back in 2013 is I found the wrong attorneys. I thought that they were experienced, and I found out later that they were the different, same name, different firm, and not experienced at all in what I needed them to do. So we're off on a much better track now. And the thing that I really like about these attorneys is that they're prepared to fight and they're prepared to win. We interviewed probably half a dozen attorneys going into this, and all the other ones were like, well, let's look for a settlement. Let's just see if we can uh, uh, minimize the damage. These guys were like, let's go and win. Why? Well, I don't know. Maybe they're winners, or they just cut from a different cloth, or maybe they've won in the past on similar types of cases and experiences. I don't know. But point is, they've got a winning attitude, which I like because I want to win as well. I want all of us to win. So, so when they pushed the date back to June, I said, yeah, okay, it's a little longer than I'd really hope, but I understand the strategy, and I do agree. I do agree that we've got to take some time, put a real case together, a real argument together, and win. And they said, well, look, that's just our recommendation. We don't know when it'll get confirmed. It could be sometime after that. And of course, it was confirmed for August. So 2 months later than we originally thought was the worst case scenario, which makes it the worster case scenario. But still, I think it's fairly okay, because you got to remember that the cease and desist is extremely limited. Number one, it's only for Texas. And number two is, as the attorneys have pointed out a bunch of times to me, they're like, look, it's kind of the least of your worries. The most important thing is running and growing and managing your business, keeping up with your obligations, and continuing to be successful. You've got 49 other states to do that, and the entire world as well. Rules are different all over the world, so you got to be careful. But it's just limiting us for Texas, which is tough because that's kind of home base for us. And it's the whole like core component of our message, both in terms of building the mine and in terms of establishing an alternative complementary currency. So there's that. But anyway, it's really not the worst thing that could have happened, especially because there's no action. It's a cease and desist. It doesn't come with a court case. It doesn't come with a fine. It doesn't come with a penalty. It's just a cease and desist. So as long as you don't violate the cease and desist, even if you didn't contest it, that's kind of the end of the line for that. But of course, we have contested it, and now we've got that hearing scheduled for August, which again, a little far out there. We've got plenty of work that we can and will do between now and then. But that is, on the schedule now officially. The only thing that we don't know, there's something on the front end and something on the back end. We don't know how long it'll take to actually get a ruling on our challenge after 17, 18, 19, 20 August. So that's one question. The other thing that we're working to figure out now is on the front end, what the timeline looks like to actually submit information. So we've got 20 days from 2, 3 days ago, whenever this was issued, to issue our official response. And the official response is really nothing more than like hey, we have confirmed the date. Thank you very much. We deny everything that they've said, and we're looking forward to hearing. So we have to do that within 20 days of the notice of hearing. So that's done. I haven't seen that confirmed yet, but that's step one. And so then the second thing that happens after that is we get a schedule for when exhibits are due, when we have to identify expert witnesses, and when we have to submit that information then to the ALJ. So again, another thing to remember as we go through this and learn together is that it's going in front of this administrative law judge. Okay. And it's not like an open court hearing. It's not like what you'd see on TV. It's not the people's court. It's not Judge Judy. We don't get to go in there and just like tell our story and, make compelling arguments and statements. It's an administrative law judge. And we know who the judge is now that's been assigned to this case. And we've done our research on it. I don't know if you guys can look it up. It's on the end of this document. I don't think I'm going to share it because I don't want the trolls being fed the information. If they want to find it, go for it. But anyway, so we've got a judge assigned and we've done some research, and we know what the judge's experience is. We know some background there. I won't get too deep into that right now, but I can tell you that we have a little bit of information there, and that's good. So what happens next is we submit our evidence, we submit our brief, we submit our list of experts, and the ALJ then, this administrative law judge, reviews that and can make a determination far in advance of the August 17th start date. If the ALJ looks at it and says, yeah, they're kind of right. Let's not waste, resources getting to a point in the future where we're going to come to the same conclusion. And there's a second thing that happened that may help our case. We'll take a look at it together in a moment, and I'll have a conversation with the attorneys about it to see what they think. And I don't have their opinion yet, their analysis yet. But the ALJ will take a look at the information we submitted and could make either a modification or a ruling in our favor long before that August 17th date. So our fingers are crossed on that, but that's what's happening. And again, remember, guys, this is specifically in regards to Texas. Now, Texas is big, and it's certainly, a market that we want to be very, very successful in, given the name of our project and whatnot. But it's a big world, it's a big place, and there's lots that we can do while we wait for our day in court, which we're looking forward to. So, okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing then is what just dropped, I think today. There's a little bit of a debate in our group about it, but I'm pretty sure this is brand new. In fact, it's so new that we don't even have an effective date because it hasn't been published in the Federal Register yet. But this is pretty new. And it's a very comprehensive 68-ish page report on federal securities laws and certain types of crypto assets and certain transactions involving crypto assets. Now, again, as usual, it doesn't cover anything and everything in the crypto realm. There are plenty of examples, I'm sure, that fall outside of the scope of what this document tries to address. But you take a quick look at the table of contents, it gets right into the definition of security. It talks about different types of crypto assets. So let's take a look at that real quick. Digital commodities. Digital commodity is a crypto asset that's intrinsically linked to and derives its value from the programmatic operation of a crypto system, as well as supply and demand dynamics, rather than the expectation of profits from the essential managerial efforts of others. So here are some examples of digital commodities: Aptos, Avalanche, Bitcoin Cash, Cardano, Litecoin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they even come in here and call, a digital commodity, like XRP is now a digital commodity. And they're saying that this is not a security. We've kind of known that all along. They've kind of come to those conclusions in court cases. But, again, it goes through now finally, and really defines what a digital commodity is and gives you specific examples. And says that it is not a security. So this is a really great, deep dive into different types of cryptos that are out there. It's got digital collectibles. I've argued about people misunderstanding meme coins and all that stuff, NFTs, as scams. And it's like, well, they're not scams, they're digital collectibles. We may not understand digital collectibles. When I was young, we had Beanie Babies and treasure trolls and all that stuff. But today's, young people aren't collecting physical things. They're collecting digital things, and they call them digital collectibles, and they are traded and they're monetized and all kinds of stuff. And so, again, it comes in here and says digital collectibles have limited to no functionality. Like a meme coin is a type of crypto asset inspired by internet memes, characters, blah, blah, blah. They're acquired for artistic, entertainment, social, cultural purpose, and their value is driven by supply and demand rather than essential managerial efforts of others. Meme coins may create uses for meme coins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, again, you'll have to read through this entire thing to conclude whether or not, any or all of these things are securities. I understand my internet connection is unstable. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But again, you'll have to go through those documents and see exactly what it says and whether or not it helps our case or hurts our case, as the case may be, because further down, it gets into a much deeper dive in regards to the mining situation. If we go all the way back to the table of contents, we'll see that we're talking about protocol mining, blah, blah, blah. You go through this document, you can read all that it has to say about mining pools. In addition to self or solo mining, miners can join mining pools. And so, again, go through this document on your own time, do your own analysis. I'm not a lawyer. Some of you may be lawyers. And what application does give us is more, a better framework. It does give us more information. I think it's brand new. Generally speaking, more clarity is better than less, but not necessarily all the time. Why? Well, because imagine I invent something like a bunch of zeros and ones, and I use those zeros and ones to barter with my friends in a small community marketplace, and the government comes along and says, that's illegal. You can't do that. Say, why not? There's nothing wrong with barter. There's nothing wrong with zeros and ones. Why can't I do this? Well, we said so. Well, that seems very vague. Could you give me more clarity? I need clarification. I need a federal registered document telling me exactly why my zero and one bartering in the marketplace is illegal. And then they give you that document and you go, oh, okay, I guess it is illegal. That doesn't make it illegal. It just means the federal government says it's illegal. There's a big difference between moral and illegal. What's the, thing? We commit three felonies a day on average. You wake up, you get out of bed, you're probably going to commit a felony before you go to sleep that night. That doesn't make what you're doing wrong. It doesn't make what you're doing immoral. It just makes what you're doing outside of the guidance and framework of the federal government. Why is that important? It's important because it touches very, very deeply on what I am personally going through right now. And I'm really struggling. I wanted to kind of share some of my thoughts with you because obviously as the founder and fearless leader of this thing, what's going on up here is particularly relevant and important for our project. And I got to be honest with you, I'm really in a dark spot right now, because what I'm feeling at the moment, and feel free to like mute out and come back in like 5 or 10 minutes if you don't want to hear my rant. But I'm feeling like this is COVID all over again, and that really hurts. That really, really hurts. I lost my wife and I, my family and I lost a lot of time, a lot of money, and two successful businesses because of COVID. Um, we were living in Singapore in the time, which is the same place where I am today. Just a little backstory. We had a factory here in Singapore called Reardon Metals, PTE Ltd. And our factory was a coin manufacturing facility. We're stamping gold and silver and copper coins, as I've done for many, many, many years. We were doing that here in Singapore. And then COVID happened. And at first, Singapore handled it really, really well. So we have a healthy population. We're kind of secluded on an island. We can quarantine people travel to the island altogether. So let's have a measured approach to dealing with, the COVID restrictions and crisis or whatever. And we watched the whole world kind of close down one by one by one, country by country. And Singapore didn't do anything. And it was really great because I got slammed with orders. We were one of the only factories in the whole world that was still open and producing, precious metals coins. And that was really good. That was really good for me. Made a ton of money when that happened. Obviously not anything I did. But I was the benefit of, these things that were consequential for people all over the world. I was the beneficiary. And so then all of a sudden in April of 2020, Singapore shuts down and they called it the circuit breaker. If you say that, it's like a dirty word around Singapore now. So you got to stay quiet with it. But they flipped the circuit breaker and they said, we're just going to do this for a couple of weeks. And we all heard that story. And months and months and months later, beaches are closed, restaurants are closed, social distancing rules. They've got people out there wearing red shirts that are paid to take pictures, anyone flouting the rules for, rewards and prizes. And man, it was not good. And my family ended up leaving Singapore. We returned to the States in December of 2020 because of this. My wife left December 1st. My daughter left a couple weeks later. I left a couple days later. We all went back one by one. And we ended up shutting the factory down. And we had millions of dollars of equipment, leases and office space and employees. They all ended up getting fired, sent back to their home countries. And it was a really, really sad thing because we invested a lot to be here in Singapore, the most expensive city in the world and the most, one of the safest, cleanest, most prestigious places to run a factory. And to watch that all come to a spectacular end was really, really sad. And not only was it Reardon Metals coin factory in Singapore, but at the same time, we were also running Hot Cocoa Thailand, Heads or Tails Coins and Collectibles, our silver statue manufacturing facility in Thailand, which we started like back in 2014. The problem is that we're still producing in Thailand to the best of our, limited ability, but we're not able to travel back and forth to Thailand. We'd go back to Thailand once a month. We'd do our quality control checks. We'd ship out the orders to the customers. And it worked. And so when COVID happened and they shut travel down and we weren't able to, go back to Thailand to do quality control, of course, the quality falls off a cliff and customers are not happy. We can't do anything about it. They're demanding order updates. We can't do anything about it. They've paid for product. We can't do anything about it. And it was extremely frustrating. It was very, very sad. And we ended up selling that business. We sold it at a profit. But we could have gotten much more for it. And, that was limited by kind of the situation we were dealing with back then. And, it's just very frustrating because as a small business owner, you set out on a path, you have a plan, you're going up against the odds. The 1 year failure rate of a small business is like 90%. Most businesses never get their product to market, let alone make it the first year. You got a 90% chance. You got a 90% chance of not making it 5 years. If you made it that first year, the likelihood of making it 5 years is 10%. And what that means is that you've got a 1% chance, just like in a normal working environment, you have a 1% chance of going a 5 year distance. And that's really insane. What small business owner, what entrepreneur wakes up and goes, those seem like great odds. 1 in 100, sign me up. Where do I put my capital? Let's go. You're up against the odds. And, if you factored in as you were sitting there and making those business plans, if you factored in the impossible, the COVIDs, the whatever other disasters, the zombie apocalypse, you would never do it. You would just not ever do anything. You'd say, I have a 1% chance of making it 5 years. And that's, in a normal type of time and place. If you try to account for natural disasters, global geopolitical things, viruses, we'll use quotes when we say it, and the like, you just wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do anything. And what kind of world would that be? So that's not an option either. You got to do something. But that's what this feels like. And I'll tell you why it feels like that. Because as you may recall, as we have been talking about for the last couple months, we started a project in the Middle East. I went to Berlin to the World Money Fair, and from Berlin, I was going on to do the official launch of Iscander from Dubai. And I went to Dubai. I paid a lot of money to be in Dubai. We paid a lot of money for a company registration to start the process of getting our digital asset, set up there. And I went on from Dubai to Hong Kong. Our world took a strange turn with this cease and desist out of Texas. I went back to the Middle East to continue working on, or no, I guess I was working on this stuff before. When I was there, you may recall that we signed a big deal, a $1 million plus deal with a company that was going to provide us with software to develop the system for our NFC tap to pay card system. They already have it. They've got it done. That company has now gone dark. They were supposed to provide us with a copy of the code, and we haven't gotten that. We've now had to talk to our lawyers to get them involved to try to get a resolution to the situation. But I'm right back today where I was during times of COVID, where in the old days, you'd get on a plane, you'd go there, you'd knock on the door, and you say, "Hey, what's going on? Let's work this out." You can't do that now. All flights are canceled. Airports shut down. Like, they're not welcoming visitors right now in that part of the world. What are the odds? And it's extremely frustrating because, we also started working on a deal with the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate, to have them come on as Iskander's first influencers, with the idea of sending them out to the events that are happening in Dubai. We got the Crypto Polo Cup that we've already spent $150,000 to be the sponsor for that. We were going to go out there and be our ambassadors at the Crypto Polo Club, where you've got the who's who of, Abu Dhabi and Dubai society coming out to that event. We've got our yacht party on the 26th of April. We built all of these things around Token 2049. And guess what? Token 2049 has been postponed. They pushed it back an entire year. How is it that we're supposed to make good business decisions, good forward-looking investments in our future when this kind of stuff that's so far outside of our control is happening? It's very, very frustrating. We can't do nothing. I can't just close up shop and say, well, tried my best, rug pull, exit scam, the end. That's not an option. But you guys are expecting me to continue to make good decisions for us. I was in Dubai and I said, hey, I probably should get out of Dubai. It's not a really great place to be right now. The US is making some real clear indications that there's going to be some drama in the Middle East. Maybe the Middle East is not the right place to be right now. That, of course, was after we paid this money and, signed these deals and got this process started. So it's very, very, very frustrating. And it feels like COVID all over again. We don't know how long it's going to go on. We don't know, really why we got there. We don't know how we're going to get out of there, And the worst part of all, guys, and I know it's hard for you to really empathize. It may be difficult for you to empathize with what I'll say next in, McKinney, Texas, or in Colorado suburb of Denver or somewhere in sunny Florida. Um, but we've got a really bad, um, we're getting a really bad, well, I guess we've already had it, but a really bad rap about this. And of course, I know it's not my fault. I didn't do it. It feels like the world is looking at me and being like, how can we mess your plan up today? I'm sure you feel that way as well. But we're getting looked at. Americans are being looked at extremely poorly around the world. Like, what are you doing? Why are you messing around over there again? Didn't your guy campaign on a promise of not doing exactly what has happened right now? Who knows what to believe in the mainstream media or TikTok? It's one version on the mainstream channels. It's a whole different version through the alt media, AI, fake news. You have no idea who's telling the truth anymore. So I can't even speculate on it if I wanted to. But the point is that what I can tell you is that I feel really let down. I feel really let down because I really do believe that this administration campaigned on a couple of things. And we've seen a lot of resistance on some of them, and we're seeing a totally different outcome on this Iran thing. And, I'm 46. We've been talking about this for 25 years now. It was like, no, we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't do it. We shouldn't do it. We don't need that anymore. No, no, no. Oh, there we go. And, you know, I really shouldn't be surprised. I really can't be surprised by this because, if I take a step back and I look at the big picture stuff, um, I'm reminded that we've known this stuff was happening all along. We've known that we can't trust politicians. We've known that when empires collapse, they do really, really desperate, goofy, terrible things. When countries get deeply in debt, their spending accelerates, especially when it comes to, military and war, things that they do to try to hold on to what little remains of their control. Um, their reputation and kind of respect in the global community drops. And, look, if you're hanging out in McKinney, Texas, and you're not paying attention to the social feeds or the news, then it's easy to completely miss what I'm talking about and say, what is he talking about? He's got it all wrong. This doesn't affect us at all. No, no, it does, because we've spent millions of dollars now preparing for an exciting future out of the Middle East. And I'm not saying it's gone now. I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying it's now more work and it's more difficult than it was 2 months ago when we started down this path, 3 months ago. And that's very frustrating because you guys are looking to me for good answers, for good strategies, for good plans. And I start building out our sandcastle, and then this geopolitical drama comes along and kicks it over and goes, "Ha! Now what are you going to do?" And I go, "Well, I guess I'll just have to work a little bit harder now." And of course, that's what we're doing. I can't be hurt by it either. I can't be surprised, and I can't be hurt. Why? Because the only reason that we're sitting here having this conversation right now is because the federal government has done a bad job. Well, what? If the federal government, you know, abided by the rules laid out in the Constitution, we'd all be using gold and silver right now as money. We'd have silver certificates and gold certificates circulating in our pockets. We wouldn't have inflation that was devaluing 95, 96, 97, 98, 99% of our money. We wouldn't need a cryptographic alternative to fiat currency if our government was doing a good job. So the fact that they've done a bad job and probably unconstitutional and illegal things has put us in a position where we have an opportunity to do it better. The free market always comes along and finds these opportunities and creates solutions to fix problems that are created somewhere else. And so I can't really be hurt because some of us have done very, very well from our experience and our time together. In fact, I think a lot of people have. And so the fact that we've got to, like roll up our sleeves and work a little harder because they continue to do a bad and worse job means that we really can't be too bummed out about it. It would be disingenuous. It would be uh, I don't know what the right word is. Who's got the right word for that? A little unfair, be a little, I don't know, whatever that word is. It would be a little stupid for us to, yell and scream about the empire's collapse affecting our ability to make money and yet be making money off of the empire's collapse. It's having your cake and eating it too if it went the other way. So we have to be prepared for this. So what does it mean? It means we need to be agile. It means we need to be willing to adjust quickly. I'm not using the word pivot. Honest money doesn't pivot, but I'm saying we need to start making plans now that have the ability to come to fruition and deliver results on our investments and expectations in a much shorter timeline. Can we book out a conference in 2027? I don't know. We don't know what the world's going to look like in 2027. We can hopefully safely assume that we're still going to have a world in 2027 and the lights are going to be on and, the systems will continue to work. But, making a long-term decision and investment based on an unpredictable and unforeseeable future today is obviously a very bad idea. And so what we need to do is we need to shorten the timeline between our decisions, execution, investment, and the payoff. And so, that's what I'm looking at today. And as I get more clarity and I make peace with, this this strange and rapidly changing world, I get more clarity on that. And so that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling this COVID thing. Obviously, like some people mentioned a moment ago in the chat, like we got through it. Yeah, we got through it. Is the world better, post COVID? Probably not. Is it better post 9/11? Probably not. So what do? Do you give up or do you keep going? I say we keep going. Of course, I'm not going to give up. I don't want you to give up either. But we have to be intelligent and keep our eyes and our ears open as we work through these challenges, these rug pulls that they throw at us. And do the best we can to preserve our capital and our sanity and our good old fashioned work ethic as we navigate this ever changing landscape that we're in today, which I think is the most important thing in the world. Money's still at the root of all of this. That's why what we're doing is so important. That's why it's going to be the biggest challenge of all, because it does matter. And so again, I wanted to share that with you just so you know what's going on in my head. A lot of people are out there saying, well, he must be having the time of his life. He's in sunny Singapore, 1 degree above the equator, sunshine and beaches and drinks with umbrellas. No, guys. It's not that. I wish it was. It's not the worst time I've ever had, but it's a challenging time. And I hope that you guys from wherever you are can empathize just a little bit, not necessarily with me or the challenges that our project face, but with what's going on in the world and how our actions or the actions of our politicians affect not just our project, but our reputation and and our respect that we do or don't have or are rapidly losing around the world. So chew on that if you like, just a little heart to heart with you guys here. Okay. Having said that, let's jump into Iscander because we've had a lot of Iscander questions. And I want to bring your attention to a couple things. First of all, one of the reasons that we have so many questions and challenges with Iscander is because we've changed the strategy now about 50 times. Originally, we were going to launch it out of the Middle East, out of Dubai. We were going to um, have it as a completely separate entity, and MineTXE was going to continue going, and then there was going to be a new thing called Iscander. Then all of a sudden, MineTXE gets, it cease and desist along with, the rest of the stuff. And we go, okay, well, this is probably a good time to take a step back and really look at what's at stake here and the cease and desist, find out what they don't like about it and make some changes, whether the changes are a good idea or a bad idea, or we should have done it proactively because, I mean, we were making lots of changes for the last couple months. If you remember, we talked in week 90, 91, 92 about massive changes based on this, MLM style comp plan that we had really starting to, show the cracks. And so we ended up merging all of this stuff together. And so if you go to mindtxc.com, and I didn't know this was going to happen, but if you go to mindtxc.com, you get redirected now. If you're not logged in, let me log myself out. You get redirected mindtxc.com to the Iscander network sign-in page. Your login should still work just fine there, but as you log in, you're going to notice that a lot of stuff is now missing out of the left side. Why is that? It's because we've switched over to a very simple single tier affiliate program. We've got lots of fun stuff that goes into the commission and all that stuff, but it's a single tier program, which means placement and all of that stuff now is irrelevant. And so we started down one path, we shifted to another path, and now we've gone to a third path, which is bringing everything together, super simplifying it. And so as we are developing this on the fly, and we're doing it as rapidly as we can because people are asking questions about where are my sales, where are my coins, where are my commissions? Those are all very good and very valid questions. We have to get this done. So hopefully this is the last time that we're changing it so that we can actually move forward with the current plan, with the systems and the settings in the correct orientation, so that you can log in, you can see your sales, you can add new sales, you can add new people, you can do all the things that you need to do. You can see your commissions, you can collect your commissions, all that stuff. I think we've got it completely down now. And unfortunately, I've been saying that for like a couple of months. And so what we're going to do this week is we're going to process commissions manually. And so as we wait for the system to catch up with the rule change and the rule change and the rule change, we're going to probably have to go through and process commissions manually. I was just talking to Michaela before the call started, because we still don't have the ability to enter sales in to the website because of the rules. And so basically, the big challenge is the new commission setting. And the problem with the commission setting is that when a sale goes in, we have two options. Either you're taking cash or you're taking hash. And before that, when you set up a profile, you've got to lock in whether you want hash or cash, and if you want to do a hash lock. So that's a new feature. It was built exclusively in Iscander. Now we've brought it over to the system that has to work with TEXITcoin as well. And so that's challenge number one. Challenge number two then is figuring out how long your hash lock is for the commission, and then being able to assign new sales based on what your commission hash lock setting is. So there's a lot of just variable stuff that goes into that process. But we have to get that dialed in before the sale is entered, because as soon as the sale is entered, we also want it to trigger the commission, whether the commission is a cash payment due or the commission is a hash power sale. If we don't have that all built correctly, I think it's done now. The developer Siri said that it was wrapping up as we speak, and it was ready to go live tomorrow. You've heard that for a couple of weeks now. For a couple, I think we're done changing it, so it might actually be tomorrow. But even if it's not, we're going to start processing commissions manually, so that we can. My wife says I'm picking a fight. What am I picking a fight about? What? So that we can get you guys paid. And I know you've been waiting for a long time. Once we get all that dialed in, because many of you have your commission in hash power, we'll be able to assign the additional hash. So I want to show you guys a couple things to answer some of those questions. and hopefully she'll tell me what kind of trouble I've gotten myself into. But I want to show you a couple things. Okay, so one of the things that Mitchell mentioned was a problem was what's going on with the mine. And I want to bring your attention to the coin shared result. You can get here by going to manage.iskandernetwork.com. Maybe it's /statistics. Yeah. So if you're not logged in and you just want to see this chart, you can get there on this page, scroll yourself down, and you can see that something went very wrong in the daily reward. And so normally, the numbers are kind of down here around this like 85 to 90,000 coins per day area. We're trying to figure out how to improve that to get faster blocks. But be that as it may, there's a huge jump. And the huge jump happened because we were trying to get the system programmed to pay out both TXC and ISK through the same kind of validation and calculation process that we've been using for almost 2 years now. And so it's hard work, and we develop live. And so every once in a while we make a mistake, and that mistake causes something that worked properly to get thrown off, which is what happened here. And so the daily reward ended up calculating about triple of what it was supposed to calculate. And so when it calculates it incorrectly and then it pays it out automatically, what happened was too many people got paid larger amounts than they should have received. And what that does is it makes it so that we don't have enough coins to pay everybody else out. And so I pointed this out in our group chat that we were on standby until block 272072. I think that's right. Tech support. I don't know. I'll have to go back through and find exactly where I mentioned it and what the number was. But what we're doing is we're waiting for the network to catch up so that we can do the math and figure out exactly who got what. 272072. Okay, so I think we're 9 blocks away right now from getting to the point where the system thought we were. So it thought we were all the way at 272072. And again, I'm not sure if that's exactly the right number, but I think off the top of my head, that is the right number. But once we get there, then we can go through and say, okay, here's what it was supposed to be. Here's what it actually paid. These people got too much. These people didn't anything at all. We can do an extensive calculation on exactly what it's supposed to be, do a settle up payment to get everybody back to the exact number that they should have had. And then we can get back to daily rewards exactly the way they're supposed to be. So that's the plan. That's the problem, and that's the plan. And so that's what went down. So my guess is you will be able to see everything resolved by end of day tomorrow. So it's Tuesday now. I think when the payment tomorrow is complete, then you'll see yourself completely synced up. And again, if you go through and do the math on how many coins were found by the mine over the last couple of days, hopefully you do the math and you figure out that you got the correct amount. That's always the goal. Exactly what that math is, we don't know. We've got to count the blocks once we get to that 272072 number, and then settle up correctly with everybody. So that is what's up with the mine. It's because the software that does that daily reward calculation is being updated so that it pays out both TXC and Iscander as well. Okay, so other questions Mitchell mentioned were being asked extensively. Number 2, want to remind you guys, we've got the Iscander web wallet at wallet.iskandercoin.com. We don't have a mobile wallet app yet for Iscander. What we're probably going to do is build the Iscander wallet feature into the existing TXC wallet. So you'll be able to have an Iscander wallet and a TXC wallet inside of the mobile app. Regardless, we really don't like the mobile app. We like the web app wallet, web wallet. So if you have not done so yet, please set up an Iscander wallet at wallet.iskandercoin.com and do the same thing, username or no username and a password, and then it'll automatically download your backup file. If you want to go in and download another backup, you can store that in the cloud, something somewhere. And then that way you know that that wallet is got a backup. Anytime you clear the cookies or the cache or whatever the things are called on your browser, it will wipe out your access to your wallet. So, that happens from time to time. People clear that out, or there's a website problem with something else. You clear out your cache, and the next thing you know, your wallet's gone. So make sure you have your backup file or that backup text, and that way you'll be able to get back into your wallet. Like I said, it automatically, like if I create a new wallet here, new wallet, you can watch it because as soon as I add this wallet, it's going to create a new backup file. So there you go, backup6.txt. So as soon as I create a new wallet, it automatically forces the backup of that. At least it does on my computer. So hopefully it automatically forces a backup on your computer as well. And then with this wallet address, this is what you'll use to link in with your Iscander management. If you go to manage.iskandernetwork.com, you'll see an error at the top on your account that you have not activated your ISK account. Obviously, it doesn't really matter right now because there is no Iscander daily payout yet. But in order to activate it, you're going to have to put in your Iscander wallet address. And so that's an important thing to do so that you can get your daily payout from the Iscander mine reward if you are an Iscander miner as well. Let's pause for a moment and talk a little bit more about Iscander because I want to clarify a couple things. I'm talking right now to Jim and the guys that built this site because, again, a lot's changed since we started on this path. It was just supposed to be for Iscander coin. And now what we're doing is we're calling the entire affiliate community, people that are out there, growing the mine and earning affiliate commissions. We're calling that Iscander. Is that TEXIT coin? Is that Iscander coin? No. Iscander is the affiliate community that's out there promoting our projects and the mine packages. And so that's Iscander. And so what we have to do now is we got to rebuild some of this website to get a little bit further away from Iscander coin and instead talk about Iscander network, the Iscander community. And then as well, give the community the ability to purchase packages, not just for Iscander, but also for TEXITcoin, because that's all going to be done now under one umbrella. And that's umbrella is called Iscander. So we've got TEXITcoin, we've got Iscander coin, which may end up getting renamed at some point because we thought it was a bit of a bad idea to have the network and the coin name be the same thing. My wife says I'm picking a fight with the government. I'm not picking a fight with the government. So we're going to work on improving the content on this, getting rid of things like compensation plan, which sound MLM-y, and giving you the ability now to differentiate between TEXITcoin mining and also Iscander mining. So some improvements are coming here, and I think with those improvements, you'll see it look more like what MineTXE was before, because now all of that stuff is going to be under one umbrella, and that umbrella is called Iscander. What is Iscander? It's the community of people that are going out there and spreading the message of peace and prosperity through honest money. That's what we're considering to be the Iscander network, right? So look for that content to get cleaned up in the next couple days so that we eliminate some confusion there, give you the ability to purchase TEXITcoin mining and Iscander mining, and keep moving forward. Okay, update on the legal stuff, how to get an ISK wallet, covered that. Commissions for ISK. We're going to have them done this week. If we have to process them manually, we will. So that is happening as we speak. And I think that's it. What's up with the mine? Commissions for ISK. Location for ISK. Okay. So we're in the process of setting up a bunch of new stuff. I'll show you one of the reasons why, and it's really fun. Take a look at another thing that our friend Corey has put together. As you remember, I think we talked last week about, utility and the importance of utility in the conversation about, crypto, commodity coins and utility coins and security coins and all that stuff. Obviously, we've gotten a little bit more framework now out of the SEC in regards to exactly what some of this stuff is, but still, the whole idea about, real value for our project is linked to real utility. And that's a really important thing because that's phase two for us. Phase two is utility. Now, inside of the realm of the things that we're working on, we've got the mine, we've got the core technology, and we've got downtown digital. And so downtown digital is our first manifestation of utility. That's the part that I'm good at. That's the part that I care about. That's the part that needs the NFC software and the tap to pay and all those things. We got the layer two done, but now we need to make the layer two really easy to use in places that aren't familiar with, apps and dApps or crypto wallets or, two-factor authentication and, private key backups and non-custodial stuff. Like it's a whole bunch of stuff there, and we need to simplify it. Why? So we can take it out to our friends and communities that don't necessarily care about crypto, don't know and don't care that, we're doing this on chain to add a whole level of transparency and accountability to a system that they may be familiar with already. But we need those things in order to get our first manifestation of utility going. Now, having said that, I've got a bit of an announcement here that I haven't talked about with anybody yet. But I am putting $100,000 behind our gaming initiative. And we've got two games so far on the docket. We've got something that kind of resembles Farmville, and we've got this beautiful, beautiful thing that Corey has put together. And I want one more. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to set up a gaming committee because it can't be me. I can't do it all. I don't want to do it because I don't know anything about gaming as it is. But I know that we got a lot of great people in our community, and some of you guys are really creative, as we've seen. And some of you guys know a thing or two about games. I don't. But maybe you do. And if you do, I'd love to have your help in getting this committee together to develop these things that are going to run on the TXC blockchain. And that again creates demand for TXC. It creates a utility for our coin. It creates a real purpose. Like I said, I'm not a gamer. You might not be a gamer, but there are a lot of people in the world that love gaming. And so we're setting up a couple different companies now. We're setting up a company in Costa Rica. We're setting up a company in Panama. These are places where guys like us go to establish gaming company or gaming licenses or play to earn licenses. And that's essentially what some of these things are going to be. You'll have the ability through these games to earn micro mining output, little teeny tiny chunks of hash power. And so, that's going to be built on I will have to talk about whether it's going to be built on TXC or ISK, but there's going to be an opportunity there because we've got to get these things set up to create more demand and utility for our networks, of which we've got two now. We also had a major advancement in the last couple of days in regards to merge mining. We now have been able to successfully mine multiple coins together. Let me find the link for it here. Hold on one second. Hold on. We got a new mining pool server set up, which is really great. And we've been able to now successfully connect to it from NiceHash, which is really great. I'll show you guys that in a second. Okay, so here it is. Share screen. So our new pool is built on a new framework called YIMP, YIIMP. This is the test server that we've got for it right now. And we've got dedicated mining for Litecoin, Dogecoin, and Iscander. They're all up and running right now. And if you look at, the pool information and all that stuff, these are the front end settings that you can see. But what we do to test it is we go over to this nice hash thing. And nice hash is really cool. And we're going to talk about why it's really cool in a second. But if you go in and you test with the pool verifier, you can see that the test pool is compatible, which is really great because this is our other pool. If you test our other pool with the verifier, it is incompatible. And so, this is pool dot texitcoin.org, and this is the test pool server for Iscander, and this one is compatible. So not only is the new pool server compatible with NiceHash, and again, I'll tell you about that in a second, but it also doesn't have the same 25% stale or error block rate that we've been having with the main pool. We were using, what was the name of the software? I can't remember the name of the software for our main pool, but this one is working much, much better. And as you can see, it's compatible with the NiceHash marketplace. Okay, so why does this matter? Wow, I'm totally sweat through just on the right side. That's what an hour and 5 minutes of sitting in the Singapore sun will do to you, 1 degree above the equator. Okay, so why did we start Iscander? A lot of reasons for why, because I'm sure some of you are still scratching your head saying, I don't get it. Is this the rug pull? Is this the thing that they were telling us to watch out for? You got TEXITcoin on that thing goes down and then you're off to the next thing? No. Feels like that. I can understand how the trolls will make those arguments, but we started talking long ago. I've asked AJ to go through and find out exactly when we started talking about it on our Tuesday night calls. But we started talking long ago about cross mining. Merge mining is the ability to mine multiple coins at the same time. You get a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-1. Done. We got that now. We haven't installed it yet, but it's been tested and it's verified. Very exciting. Haven't ever had it. We had 2 coins for a long time, but between Litecoin's low profitability and our mining pool servers high reject rate, we really haven't been mining a lot of Litecoin. We've got some, but it's not close to enough right now to cover our electric bill. We need to mine Doge and Litecoin and have the server working reliably. So all those things are right now at this very moment being fixed and getting ready to go into service. So that's really important. But as we add the fourth coin to that, Iscander, that gives us geographic diversity. So we set the rules. What is cryptocurrency? It's money that runs by rules. You set the rules, and that's the way the money works. Fixed supply, fixed number of coins per block. There's a little bit of a randomness to how many blocks you get per day. But if the mine is working correctly, you can project about how many that you're going to get every day. And so the system is based on rules. Okay, well, how does that compare to like the Federal Reserve System? Well, they make it up however they want, whenever they want. They adjust interest rates up, interest rates down, and that has a profound impact on our lives. And so we say, well, let's do rule-based money where we can't just make it up as we go. We can't print up extra coins and give them out to our besties. That's what cryptocurrency is. It's rule-based money. So when we look at TEXITcoin, we make the rules. What are the rules? Well, rule number 1 was we're only mining this thing in Texas. Rule number 2, you can only mine this thing by going through, the exclusive mining pool access that, was back in the day called Mine TXC. And so that's what, really gives us our foundation, the rules. And we have to follow the rules. And you guys have to hold me accountable as to the rules. That's the reason why a moment ago when I said, we're going to have video games, and the video games may give you micro mining rewards. Like you may be able to earn hash power by playing a video game. How fun is that? Are we talking like 100 or 1,000 or like 1,000,000 mega hash? And we're talking about like 1 or 2 or 3 micro deposits. Remember, you don't need a lot of mining. You don't need a lot of TXC acquisition in order to use the TXC to, pay transaction fees to enjoy the video game. So you could get 1 mega hash. Well, is 1 mega hash enough to like feel like we've modified the rules of you can only mine TXC through the mining pool, the exclusive pool provider? Maybe. I mean, that's how taxes started, right? Look, we're just going to do a 1% tax. It's tiny. Well, look at where we are today. And that's what happens when you start bending the rules. So we have to establish the rules. We have to agree on the rules. At some point, you and I are going to have to establish a system of governance that gives you the direct ability to have an input on how all of these things work. That's what we call a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. Maybe that's what DAO stands for, but it means the community decides the rules. Um, and so we have a rule-based system. And so we said, okay, TEXITcoin has got some really strict rules. Well, we want to kind of expand internationally, but we can't do that based on the current rules. Let's create a second project now that gives us the ability to start to grow and do some of the things that we need to do, but are not limited by the same rules that we set for TEXITcoin. Rule number one, mining exclusively in Texas. Now, as you may remember, we made an exception to that rule for rangers to allow them to have home miners outside of the state of Texas, be able to show it off, to be able to add redundancy to our network outside of Texas. It's been very helpful, but it's a modification of the rules. We got to keep track of that stuff. We can't just casually throw the rules away because we want to start a video game. We've got to thoughtfully go through that and figure out what the ecological consequences are before we go and just change up things that we said were rules. TEXITcoin has a no influencer policy. Seems like a good rule. If we're building something real, we don't want, to pay to get people to pump our coin just so we can get rich. TEXITcoin doesn't do that. Iscander does. And so as these projects demonstrate, how they are complementary to each other, we say, hey, great. We have the ability to use this project over here to promote, through influencers and to grow hash power outside of the limited rules that we've got for TEXITcoin. Okay, what does that have to do with what we were just talking about? I'll tell you. We did the math the other day on how much hash power was sold through Iscander so far. Now, the number's a little bit different than what we talked about the other day because we know that a lot of people have also earned commission and they want to take that commission in hash power, right? So at the moment, we have, let me share my screen with you so you guys can at least see a little bit of what's on the live page here. At the moment, 1.327 million megahash has been sold through Iscander. Okay, great. Well, what's the plan to deploy those mining resources? Well, remember, with TEXITcoin, we're talking about buying or leasing dedicated sites inside of Texas using the Texas grid to roll out this infrastructure. Now, that means we have got to find land. It means we have to find available power resources. We've got to build out the infrastructure for, the physical pad, the transformer, the underground lines. We've got to get cranes to install. It takes a lot of time to do all that stuff. We're working through the challenges and limitations that we have in that regard. We just got the next 4 containers delivered to port the other day. I don't know if they've been delivered to the site yet. But we got 4 more containers that now have to find homes across Texas. Got a team working on that. Great. But we're looking at the hash power numbers on the live website and we're waiting for them patiently, I hope, to go up. That is not the case with what we're doing with TEXITcoin. With Iscander. With Iscander, we have the ability to co-locate. We have the ability to rent hash power. We've got flexibility there because we're not building physical sites inside of the state of Texas. And so we can go to this website, NiceHash, and we can see that in their USA West marketplace, they've got 191 terahash available right now for us to purchase. How much is a terahash? Terahash to mega hash calculator. Hash rate converter. So they've got, what do we say, 151 terahash? 191 terahash. They got 191 terahash, which is 191 million, almost double the size of the mine that we're looking to build in Texas. They've got that available right now for rent. For rent immediately So we have the ability through Iscander, now that we've got the pool working, we're multi-coin mining, merge mining, we've got the ability immediately to roll out that hash power. So we can buy it like that, we can rent it like that. We've got a site in Oman that we're evaluating for 2.5 megawatts of power. Again, that gives us the ability to actually put physical miners there that we own. We've got a site where we can buy the physical miners and then they hold on to them, similar to how it works in Oman. Then we've got the ability to rent hash power off of sites like NiceHash. So there are a lot of different models out there that we get to evaluate with Iscander that we're not able to look at and evaluate with TEXITcoin. TEXITcoin, the mining is built exclusively in Texas. Iscander, we have the ability to put it in different places in our target region. And our target region for Iscander is the Middle East, kind of Eastern Europe, that area there. And so we're looking now at mining resources in those target regions that we can deploy rapidly to start increasing the hash power, increasing the coin output, getting quality mining going so that we're starting to take more of those Doge and Litecoin blocks, and that's how we get ourselves registered on the global scale. So, a couple key differences between TEXITcoin and Iscander. Why do we have both? What's the whole point? TEXITcoin is still kind of the mothership, and then we'll have these satellite projects out there that are expanding on our utility, giving us additional hash power, giving us additional, transaction processing and block count capacity. We talk in the past about like how many transactions can we do per second? Well, if we have two networks, we can do twice as many transactions per second. We can increase block sizes. We can reduce block time. We don't want to reduce block time because that increases the number of coins produced, but we can increase block size to accommodate more transactions per block. Anyway, these are all things that we've got to look at, explore, evaluate, and then decide on as we continue to build and grow this project and work our way up to the very top of the crypto industry, which seems like an impossible feat today, given the current circumstances. But our resolve is clear. Our mission is good. We're doing something important. We talked about that last week. And so we persist against the odds, against the complications, against the challenges, against the shifting geopolitical tectonic plates of our reality, because it matters. Because I believe it's our job to leave the world a better place than we found it for our children and their children. And we have to do what we can to pay attention, stay alert, not fall asleep at the wheel, not hand over control of our future to psychopaths. And it's not easy. And some days it feels almost impossible. But when you got good people doing a good thing, it will win in the long run. That's the good thing about reality, is that in the long run, good always wins. And I expect it to be exactly the same, whether that means today or this week or this month or sometime between now and August 20th. Whatever it is, I know that we'll keep going and we'll continue to do well so long as we work together. Now, speaking of which, there's an event, I think this Saturday, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, for Rangers and invited guests to get together and remember who we are, why we're doing this, have a good time. I wish I could be there, guys. My top focus right now, just so you know, is getting this NFC card thing resolved and done so that we can roll this thing out to the places that we're rolling it out to, which I'm not telling you about. Once we show the world that we actually mean what we say and we're actually doing what we say we're going to do, it'll be a big, big boost for all of us, including the value of TXC on the open market. But people are getting together. We're remembering, the other elements of this project. We joined this thing to make new friends. We joined it to have a good time. And so this weekend there's an event going on at my place in Anna. And if you're a Ranger, an invited guest of Ranger, please go. Please have a great time. Please enjoy yourself, because we're starting it back up. Now the systems are coming together and we understand who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and that nothing whatsoever in that realm has changed. It's time to keep going. So let's go. Let's do it. And let's get to your questions on tonight's call. Where are they? Gage, Mitchell, what do we got out there in Q&A land? Anything useful?
We have currently 15 open questions.
Man, you guys have been working. Normally it's
Yeah.
like 700 at this point. Mark says, with the opening of USA, is there a possibility that TX will be open for Iscander before the litigation process? TEXITcoin. No, no. Remember, with Texas, we need to be extremely careful not to violate the cease and desist. Like I mentioned earlier, the good thing about the cease and desist is that it's just a cease and desist. You comply with the cease and desist, that's it, the end. There's no action, there's no consequence, there's no fine, there's no restitution, there's nothing. It's just a cease and desist. Unless you break the rules and you ignore the cease and desist, that's when it spirals to something bigger. And so job number one is to avoid that. Coach Bud says, is it possible to hold off on the lock up components for now so we can launch and then add those feature capabilities later? No, the lock has to happen when the sale goes in. So if you say, I want to lock these coins, or if I want to lock my commission preference, that has to happen at the time you get the coins or at the time you get the commission. So it's a bit of a gamble, there. Lonnie says, despite there not being a need for the team tree, there's been a few people who are hoping that they could still have their team members listed of sorts. Yes, maybe an email or username with the ability to message or connect. Allowing team leaders to still be available to those who they have helped. Yeah, for sure. But one of the things that we're working on is a lot of that happening through the CRM. And so the back end commission engine, it did a lot before, but really we wanted to do very little. We wanted to manage the daily rewards, the payouts every day, and we wanted to manage commissions. Everything else then is going to happen on the front end. So team communication, email, events and news and notices, all that's going to happen through the front end website, which luckily I don't have anything to do with. I've got a team of great people now that are working on that, doing a much better job than I could have done. And so no, I don't think that we'll have that stuff available in the back office. I think we'll have more of it available on the front end. Block 272732 is the message. Okay, so we're not there yet. So we're about 700 blocks away, which is probably about 2 days away. Thanks, Stephanie, from resolving the incorrect mining reward payout. Mark says, so will the coins that show we received but didn't go into our wallets will arrive in the wallet? I'm not sure where it shows what you've received. If you're talking about shows it received in the wallet, then those are already your coins. Some people got overpaid, some people didn't get paid. What we'll do is we'll take a look at everything, regardless of whether it's in your wallet or on the website, and then we'll be able to do the math exactly on who got what, who got too much, give them a little bit, who didn't get anything, give them a lot of it, and get it all squared away by that block 272732. I got that right. Hopefully that helps, Mark. Good question. Ken, wallet address for Iscander, please. For what? For payments or for you? You have to set up your own Iscander wallet. Wallet.iscandercoin.com. Why not keep the name of Iscander Coin the same and change the name of the community network to something else, like Honest Money Network? I'm open to suggestions. I really like the name Iscander. Iscander's a cool name. I guess it's a cool name either way. Open to suggestions. Susan says maybe we use a word like Iscander ecosystem rather than network. Good idea. How does the seed phrase allow the import? There's nowhere to put that I can see. It asks for a private key, like 40 characters long, like a wallet address. Yeah, that's a good question, Dean. And I think I already sent a message to the developers, but let me send a message to them again right now. Hold on. Okay, I sent a message to the developers right now. Need this on the TXC wallet as well, please. Okay, good reminder. Thank you. Wouldn't it be better to get Victoria going now than months down the road? Well, we've got Victoria transformer already on order. We have an alternative to put two smaller transformers there. It's It's going to be about the same price. It will get us there faster. But it then gives us an extra transformer, which we either could possibly use somewhere else or not. We're not focusing on Victoria until we get the merge mining going and mining profitable. Right now, if I had it my way, I would shut everything down to one little computer right now to keep our electric costs low until we get this merge mining thing going. Our electric bill before we set up Conroe was like $7,000 a month. It wasn't too bad. We had the B24 online in McKinney. We had the B48 online in Mansfield. So it was like $7,000. Not a lot of money. Now our electric bill is $77,000 a month. That's a big chunk. And without being able to profitably merge mine 3 coins, TXC, Litecoin, and Dogecoin, we're losing quite a bit. So we don't want to lose money when it comes to mining. So if I could turn Conroe off, I would. The problem is that in Conroe, we're on a fixed contract, which means it doesn't matter how much power we use, we pay $70,000 a month, regardless. And so because of that, like it doesn't matter if we turn it on or off or we leave it on. And so that's why the top priority today is to get this merge mining done so the mining is profitable. As soon as mining becomes profitable, then we look at Victoria and say, yo, if we turn Victoria on, not only would our community be less pissed, we'd look better, but we'd also be making more money. Let's go. We're not at that point yet. We have the ability to kind of shift gears and make that a priority if we want, once the multi-coin merge mining and pool problems are resolved. I think we're very, very close to that. So that may become something that's more relevant for us to talk about next week. But as far as where we are today, we don't want the extra mining power cost at the moment. With all the changes, are we still good with keeping our vehicle wraps with TEXIT? Yes, 100%. Remember, guys, TEXITcoin is the mothership. We have to come up with better content, instructional videos, educational videos, explainer videos to communicate that, because as our ecosystem fleshes out, we're going to have a lot more stuff. We're going to have video games. We're going to have casino games. We're going to have, layer 2 stuff. We're going to have multiple coins in other places. So we're going to have a lot of things, but they all fall under that TEXITcoin umbrella. And so, what we ultimately want is to share our message with the world. And if somebody goes out there and Googles TEXITcoin, will they understand our entire world? And that comes down to getting them to a website where they can see, maybe in some sort of picture view, like TEXITcoin is the core. Then we've got, cross mining with these coins, and we've got video games, and we've got, investments we've made here, here, and here. And we've got, exchanges. We got all these different places that you could participate in the ecosystem or create something new. So we really have to communicate the whole realm of what that TEXITcoin ecosystem looks like. This is just getting worse. It's almost time to take the shirt off. So that as you're out there in a TEXITcoin wrapped vehicle, somebody goes, oh, TEXITcoin, let me learn more about that. Then they find a meaningful way to get started. And you're welcome for all I'm doing. How many new miners post first block founders? I don't know, Mark. I don't know. We're going to start having that information on the updated website soon. Is TMR Festival still on with TEXIT? Yeah, it is. But it's unfortunately not a real high priority for us right now. The high priority for us right now, like I mentioned, is getting the NFC tap to pay stuff done. We will need that in order to make TMR a doable thing. But like we talked about last week, our relationship with the community has had, a setback. They're waiting now to see what happens with the TSSB thing, which we won't get an answer on until August. So, right now, McKinney is not top of the priority list for us. We've got a couple other things. And again, I'm not telling you what those things are that are new, exciting top priorities. But almost all of them revolve around this NFC payment system working properly. Do I need some of the community to come hang with me? Yes and no. Yes and no. So as far as that's concerned, yeah, I'm a little lonely out here. I went out and hung out with a person I met the other night. My wife was not real happy about that. Just to like not be on TikTok scrolling with doom and gloom all day. I looked at my screen time this morning, 17 hours on TikTok last week. That's not good. It's too much. It's like a full-time job. So, well, what else do I have to do out here? I don't have any friends. Anyway, So I'm a little lonely for sure. But I'm also very productive. And so, if it was like fun and games time, I'd say, yeah, jump a plane, come on out. Let's wander the region. We'll go to KL, visit the Petronas Towers, hang out with the bats in the Batu Cave with the monkeys. We'll eat, pray, love, doing some yoga in Bali for a couple days. We'll, eat durian and be with our hands in Indonesia. Like we'll just have a great time. And maybe we do plan something like that because it sounds fun. The problem right now is really travel. I understand that airports are not in a good place to be at the moment. I almost booked a flight for Robbie Rue, and I was like, okay, if you fly through Dubai, it's very, very affordable. If you don't, it's impossible. It's like $20,000. But if you fly through Dubai and you roll the dice, it's not that bad. And we didn't do it. And it was good because all flights again were turned around and sent home, which is a disaster. What a disaster. So anyway, maybe as we, look, as we start getting a better understanding of what our future looks like and we adjust and, take into consideration this ever-changing geopolitical landscape, yeah, let's find something to do. But it's not a top priority today. Don't worry about me. Thank you, though, for thinking about me. Michael says, are we getting cold storage wallets? How many coins are we still getting per seed on Iscander? I don't know because we haven't factored in all the commissions, but we're working on that today. And within the next day or two or so, maybe we'll have the ability to actually see that in the back office. How many coins per day hash? It hasn't changed. Globalminingnetwork.com. I like it. It hasn't changed so far as the numbers that I have access to, but obviously we haven't added a bunch of stuff in on that, Michael. My wife wants to go back to Orchard Road. Yes, Orchard Road is a beautiful place. I had brunch there the other day. Was it Coach Bud that reached out and said he has some people coming through that were building their own thing? Go say hello, tell them your story, hear theirs. We had brunch at a place called um man, what's it called? Honey? Something honey? Sorry, my wife's gonna be mad that I don't remember the name of this. That's really good on Orchard. That's it, guys. Hour and 31 minutes later, you heard our fun new song. We had some questions. First heard about phase 3 from Justin on 8:31 with the podcast with Mike and Terry. Okay, 30. Thanks, man. I appreciate you finding that. That's really good. Open Money Network. Open Currency Standard. That's been something I've done before. Anyway, I'm going to work on more frequent updates because things are happening fast now. Don't want to keep you guys in the dark, waiting, wondering all week. I'm also working on a new page on the TEXITcoin website for the legal updates, so you can always go there and get good information and links. But whatever suggestions you have for us to improve the quality of our communication, bring them on. And I think that is it for our Tuesday night. Anything else before we go? Mitchell, Gage,
That is all.
you guys
Great
all right?
job.
Anything
Thank
else
you
to
all
add?
for being here.
Yeah, guys, thanks. Thanks for all the patience. Thanks for all the kindness. Thanks for the flexibility. These are strange times for all of us, whether it's political or financial or whatever. We got to get through it. We're going to get through it together. And we will talk to you guys again next week or before. All right. Have a good night, and we'll see you again soon.